In this video, we'll take a look at the German tank destroyer from after the Second World War, the Kanonenjagdpanzer 4.5, which means Cannon Tank Hunter 4.5, often also called Jagdpanzerkanone 90mm, which means Tank Hunter Cannon 90mm. We'll take a look at its development, its technical specifications, its service in the Bundeswehr, the different versions, and where you can take a look at it. Development. Shortly after the founding of the Bundeswehr, the High Command was aware that the Warsaw Pact had much more tanks than the NATO. So based on the experience of the Wehrmacht in the Second World War, the Bundeswehr decided to develop a tank destroyer family, one with a cannon, one with an anti-tank guided missile, on the chassis of the Schützenpanzer Lang HS-30. But due to its poor driving mechanism, they decided to develop a new vehicle family, the Schützenpanzer Neu, which means Armored Fighting Vehicle New. The Schützenpanzer Marder, the Raketenjagdpanzer 2 and the Kanonenjagdpanzer 4.5 belong to this family. But why is it called Kanonenjagdpanzer 4.5 and not Kanonenjagdpanzer 1? Simply because the prototypes of the HS-30 chassis were called Kanonenjagdpanzer 1.3. The development started in 1959. The tank should have a shorter version of the M48's 90mm cannon, 30 tons of weight, maximum armor of 30mm, smoke launchers, NBC protection, and being capable of operating in -32 degrees Celsius. The prototypes were developed by the two German companies Ruhrstahl Hanomag and Henschel, as well as the Swiss company Mowag, but Mowag stopped developing after the first prototype. The Ruhrstahl and the Henschel prototypes were very similar. The only big difference was that Ruhrstahl used 5 and Henschel 6 driving wheels. Together they built 17 prototypes. 1961 the prototypes were shown to the Bundeswehr and tested in 1963. The Ruhrstahl model was chosen and production started in 1965. Although there were still problems with the driving mechanism, but only the first production vehicles had them, and they were given back in 1967 to be repaired. Between 1966 and 1967, Ruhrstahl, Hanomag and Henschel each built 385 vehicles, which made 770 vehicles in total. The cost of one Kanonenjagdpanzer were 514,000 D-Mark in comparison to 950,000 D-Mark for one Leopard 1. The Kanonenjagdpanzer 4.5 has a crew of 4 men, a driver, a loader, a gunner and a commander. Different to other vehicles, the gunner of the Kanonenjagdpanzer has 2 seats. One he sits on during the drive, the seat is connected to the chassis and won't move, and the seat he changes to shoot. This seat is connected to the gun, so it moves with the gun. It weighs 25.7 tons and is in military loading class 27. Without the gun it is 6.24 meters long, and with the gun 8.75 meters long, 2.48 meters wide and 2 meters high. It is armed with the Rheinmetall 90mm L40.4, a shorter version of the M47-M48's gun. Because its gun is so short, it has a low muzzle velocity, so it can only effectively fire heat-fin stabilized and hash rounds. It carries 51 rounds of 90mm ammo. It is also armed with 2 MG3, 1 coaxial and 1 for anti-aircraft role. It carries 4,000 rounds for both. After firing, the carbon dioxide pollution is very high. The main gun has a rotation of 15 degree to each side and an elevation of +15 degree to -8 degree. The gun also has a smoke extractor. With 1.46 meters, its firing height is much lower than the Leopard 1's. So the Kanonenjagdpanzer is capable of using small ground elevations as cover. It has infrared lights and 8 smoke launchers at the back, right above the engine. It has a diesel engine with 500 PS and a maximum speed of 70 km per hour forwards and backwards. The Kanonenjagdpanzer needs 10 seconds for a 360-degree turn. All this made him much more mobile than the Leopard 1. It takes a maximum armor of 30mm and is capable of driving to 1.4 meter deep water without being prepared and 2.1 meter deep water with being prepared. The Kanonenjagdpanzer entered service in 1965. It was used in the Panzergrenadier battalions, 2 platoons with each 4 tanks, the tank hunter battalions of every brigade, and later also in the tank hunter battalions of the Jäger brigades, which are light infantry, and the Gebirgsjäger brigades, which are mountain infantry. The Kanonenjagdpanzer was well liked during its service time. But after the invitation of space and reactive armor, the Kanonenjagdpanzer wasn't capable anymore of destroying enemy tanks. So some tanks were given to the Heimatschutzbrigaden in the 1980s, which are like the National Guard. There they left service in the 1990s. Others were converted, and on these we'll take a look now. 1983, 165 tanks were converted to the Jaguar II, a tank carrying the TOW ATGM. 486 tanks were converted to the Beobachtungs- und Führungspanzer, which means observer and command tank. These tanks only were armed with the anti-air machine gun and were used as artillery observers. The Jaguar II left service in 1997 and the Beobachtungs- und Führungspanzer in 2003. 1972, Belgium ordered 80 Kanonenjagdpanzer with a few modifications for the gun and the driving mechanism. Those left service in 1994. Today you can take a look at a German Kanonenjagdpanzer, a Jaguar II and a prototype of the second generation in the Deutsches Panzermuseum Munster, at the German Kanonenjagdpanzer in Saumur in France, and at the Kanonenjagdpanzer from Belgium in Bovington in the United Kingdom. Thanks for watching. Please share, comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see us in the next video. All sources are in the video description.